Be me, Alex, lead event coordinator for Elysian Events, a boutique agency specializing in high-end, bespoke weddings. My job is to make dreams come true, but mostly my job is to make sure those dreams don't become nightmares for anyone but the client, should they choose to ignore my advice. I've seen it all, from runaway grooms to cake collapses, but nothing prepared me for Serafina Sterling. Be not me, Serafina, a self-proclaimed lifestyle influencer with a perfectly curated Instagram feed and a completely uncurated sense of reality. Her budget for a dream wedding was barely enough to cover a decent engagement party, yet her vision board was pure, unadulterated luxury. Think Versailles on a public park budget. A walking, talking, human-shaped red flag of entitlement. The first hint of trouble came during the initial floral consultation. Serafina demanded a wall of rare, imported blue hydrangeas flown in from Holland for her reception backdrop. She presented a Pinterest picture, all pastel perfection. I politely informed her that such a display, especially out of season, would easily run upwards of $10,000. Our floral allowance for her package was $500. She stared at me, then at my assistant, as if we had personally insulted her. "But it's my vision," she drawled, her voice dripping with a sort of privilege that makes your teeth ache. "My followers expect it. You simply must make it happen for this price, or find a loophole." I explained there were no loopholes for imported flowers. She eventually settled for a cheaper local substitute, but not before accusing me of trying to nickel and dime her. My internal alarm bells began to clang. Next came the catering. Our contracts explicitly state that all food and beverage must be provided by approved, licensed vendors to meet health and safety regulations, and for insurance purposes. Serafina insisted her cousin, Chef Anton, would be handling the appetizers. Chef Anton, it turned out, was a high school student whose culinary experience extended to microwaving hot pockets. She claimed he was a culinary prodigy, and that his artisanal mini quiches were a gift to her, thus free. I explained the insurance liability and the health department requirements. She accused us of stifling her creativity and trying to prevent her family from participating. "It's bespoke, Alex. It's unique. Do you know how many eyeballs will be on this wedding?" She even hinted that she could sway her massive online following against Elysian Events if we didn't comply. My patience, usually endless, was starting to fray. We managed to compromise. Chef Anton could provide a small dessert table, but all main catering would be from our licensed vendor. Even this felt like a massive concession, a crack in our carefully constructed policies. The real flashpoint, the incident that truly set the stage for the coming disaster, revolved around the guest list. Serafina's initial contract, signed in triplicate, stipulated a maximum of 150 guests for the grand ballroom at the Astor Manor, our most exclusive and historic venue. This number was non-negotiable, determined by the venue's fire marshal capacity, structural load limits, and insurance policy. 2 months before the wedding, Serafina sent an updated guest list. It contained 450 names, 450. I nearly dropped my tablet. "This is a typo, right, Serafina?" I asked during our next video call, trying to keep my voice even. She laughed, a high-pitched, almost manic sound. "No, silly. My engagement announcement went viral. So many more brands want to collaborate, so many more influencers want to attend. It's great for Elysian Events, too. Think of the exposure." I calmly reiterated the Astor Manor's strict capacity. I explained the fire codes, the structural engineer's report, the sheer impossibility of fitting 450 people into a ballroom rated for 150. "It's not just about comfort, Serafina, it's about safety, it's the law." She waved her hand dismissively. "Oh, details, details, just tell the venue to add more chairs. Standees are fine, people will love it. It's exclusive." When I firmly stated this was impossible, that the venue would shut us down, she exploded. "You are ruining my life, Alex, my brand. My wedding is going to be seen by millions. If I don't have enough people there, it looks like a flop. It looks like I am a flop. My whole career depends on this." She ended the call by declaring she would simply handle it with the venue directly, implying she had connections. My alarm bells were now a full-blown air raid siren. The breaking point arrived 2 weeks before the wedding. The final invoice from Elysian Events, covering all services rendered and deposits for vendors, was due. Serafina ignored repeated calls and emails from my accounting department. When I finally reached her, she was glacial. "I'm having some difficulties, Alex," she purred, her voice sweet yet laced with venom. Your agency has been so unsupportive of my vision, the guest list for instance. You still haven't found a way to accommodate everyone. How can I pay for a wedding that isn't perfect? How can I pay for your services when you are actively sabotaging my success? She then explicitly stated that unless the venue somehow magically expanded to fit 450 guests, she would not be paying the final installment. Her tone suggested this was a clever negotiation tactic, not an outright breach of contract. I explained that the contract was clear, the payment was due, and capacity was non-negotiable. I reminded her of the penalty clauses for late payment and the potential for vendors to pull out. "If you don't pay, Serafina, we cannot guarantee the services," she laughed. "Oh, I'll pay, don't you worry, after the wedding, when everything is perfect, and when Elysian Events realizes the value of my social media reach." She then added, almost as an afterthought, "And if you try to stop my guests from entering, I'll simply tell them Elysian Events ruined my day. You'll be destroyed online." She hung up. My head spun. She fully intended to bypass me, pack the venue, and force our hand on the day itself, holding my agency hostage with her online following. It was in that moment, staring at my silent phone, that the master plan formed. I went into read-only mode. No more arguments, no more futile negotiations. From that second on, every single interaction with Serafina or anyone associated with her was meticulously documented. Emails were archived, text screenshots, call logs noted, and every verbal instruction she gave regarding the guest list or any other contractual deviation was followed up with an immediate, confirming email. As per our conversation at time, you instructed us to disregard the Astor Manor's stated capacity and allow entry to all 450 guests you provided on your updated list. Please confirm your understanding that this directly contravenes the venue's safety regulations and our contractual agreement, releasing Elysian Events from any liability related to exceeding these limits. She always replied, usually with a dismissive, "Confirmed, Alex. Just make it work. My brand demands it." I contacted the Astor Manor discreetly, explaining a client misunderstanding about guest counts and that we were taking extra precautions. I ensured all venue staff, particularly security at the door, were briefed on the official contract guest list of 150. I subtly asked them to note any attempts to exceed this. I also had our legal team draft an official letter detailing Serafina's contract breach and non-payment, ready to be served the moment the wedding was over. I cross-referenced the Astor Manor's structural integrity report, the local fire marshal's codes, and our own liability insurance clauses. Every single document pointed to one inevitable conclusion. The grand ballroom floor, a beautiful but historic structure designed for elegant, contained gatherings, could not withstand a dance party of 450 people, especially not 450 people convinced they were at the most exclusive event of the year, dancing and jumping to a pumping DJ. My file on Serafina Sterling grew thicker by the hour, a perfectly indexed, time-stamped dossier of her own self-destruction. The wedding day arrived. It was a crisp, clear autumn morning, almost idyllic. The Astor Manor looked stunning. The flowers were beautiful, the tables set perfectly for 150 guests. The first 150 guests arrived smoothly. Then the floodgates opened. Serafina, in her elaborate gown, stood at the entrance, personally ushering in wave after wave of additional guests. Her social media followers, her collaborators, random acquaintances she'd invited for optics. The venue security, briefed by me and aware of the situation, tried to explain the capacity limit. Serafina merely laughed, shoving past them, proclaiming loudly, "These are my guests. They have to be here. It's my wedding." She sent me a text, a single word. Nailed it. The ballroom rapidly filled, far beyond its safe capacity. People were crammed shoulder to shoulder, spilling out into designated fire exits. The air grew thick with perfume and desperation. The DJ, whom Serafina had also tried to underpay and dictate, was playing an ear-splitting mix. The dance floor, originally intended for a dignified first dance and maybe a few slow waltzes, became a mosh pit. I stood in a discreet corner out of sight, my tablet open, recording the crowd density, the visible strain on the floorboards, the sheer violation of every safety regulation. I felt a cold calm. The clock was ticking. Then it happened. Not with a sudden crash, but with a groan. A deep, unsettling moan from the building's ancient bones. A few people paused, looking around, a flicker of unease crossing their faces. "Keep dancing," Serafina shrieked into a microphone she'd snatched from the bandleader. "It's just the music." But it wasn't the music. A distinct crack echoed through the room. A section of the dance floor, directly under a particularly enthusiastic group of dancers, visibly sagged. Panic rippled. People shrieked. A moment later, with a sickening splintering sound, a large section of the ballroom floor gave way. Not a full collapse, not yet, but a dangerous, gaping hole opened, plunging several guests into the dark storage area below. Screams turned into full-blown panic. The music died. Serafina's face, moments before radiant with self-satisfaction, contorted into a mask of pure fury. She spotted me. "Alex, what did you do? You ruined my wedding. This is your fault." She pointed a trembling finger, her voice a raw, unhinged scream. "You sabotaged me?" I walked towards her, calm as a glacier. A few injured guests were being helped out of the hole by others, crying and groaning. Sirens wailed faintly in the distance. "Actually, Serafina," I stated, my voice clear and cutting through the din, "this is entirely your doing." I pulled out my tablet. The Astor Manor's capacity for this ballroom is 150 guests. Your contract specifies 150. You unilaterally expanded your guest list to 450. You received multiple warnings from me, from the venue, and from our legal department regarding the safety implications of exceeding this capacity. I have every single email, every text, every recorded confirmation from you, instructing us to ignore these warnings and make it work for your brand. I held up my tablet, displaying a scrolling list of her own dismissive replies. You also failed to make your final payment, a clear breach of contract, but you insisted we proceed, trusting in your connections. Your actions, and your actions alone, directly caused this structural failure. The fire marshal, who had just arrived along with paramedics and police, heard every word. He looked from the gaping hole in the floor to Serafina's ashen face, then to my tablet. His gaze settled on the crush of people still in the room, far exceeding code. He knew immediately. The fallout was immediate and spectacular. The Astor Manor was evacuated. Serafina was detained by the police for questioning, primarily for reckless endangerment and potential fraud related to the payment. The fire marshal launched a full investigation, easily piecing together the timeline with my meticulously documented evidence. Elysian Events was completely exonerated. Our paper trail was flawless. Serafina's desperate attempts to blame us were met with irrefutable, time-stamped proof of her direct instructions and her knowing disregard for safety. The wedding, her big brand moment, became a trending hashtag for all the wrong reasons. Number wedding collapse, number influencer fail, number bridezilla busted. Update 1. It's been 2 weeks. The local news has been abuzz with the Astor Manor collapse. Police formally charged Serafina with reckless endangerment, several counts of assault from guests injured in the fall, and significant fraud charges for her non-payment to vendors and the venue. Her social media accounts are now a wasteland of hate comments and mockery. Her brand is completely annihilated. It turns out several other brands she collaborated with were already having issues with her unpaid invoices and unfulfilled promotional obligations. Karma, it seems, has a heavy foot. Update 2, 3 months later. The lawsuits have started piling up. The Astor Manor is suing Serafina for millions in structural repairs, lost revenue, and reputational damage. Multiple injured guests have filed personal injury claims. Elysian Events, after review by our legal team, is also suing for breach of contract and damages to our professional reputation, though we've suffered none thanks to the diligent documentation. Her former collaborators have distanced themselves entirely, some even filing their own claims for breach of promotional contract. Serafina's once aspirational Instagram is now a static image from her last court appearance. Update 3, 6 months on. Serafina Sterling has declared bankruptcy, but it won't shield her from the criminal charges or some of the civil judgments. She was found guilty of reckless endangerment and fraud, receiving a significant community service sentence and a permanent ban from organizing or promoting any public events. Her social media presence is now a cautionary tale used in marketing ethics classes. As for me, my bonus from Elysian Events was substantial, and I now oversee all high-risk client contracts. The Astor Manor, after extensive repairs, is thriving again, and they send us a lovely gift basket every Christmas. Some dreams, it turns out, really do become nightmares, but sometimes those nightmares are exactly what you planned for.